Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
There we go. Hey, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. And everyone, hey, I think that the microphone mute button gets us all sometimes. So everyone, welcome into the Computer America Show. Hopefully you are having a fantastic day because we have a great show planned for you where we'll be talking with our longtime correspondent, Sandy Berger. And we have, of course, a lot to go over. And I think this show is especially for those of you who are looking into an e-reader. Maybe you just haven't gotten one, or it's been, e-readers have been out for so long. I guess at this point you might just be in the market for a new one. Well, we are going to be talking about the Amazon Paperwhite Kindle and a couple of other topics. So everyone, stay tuned for that. Before we get started, though, with Sandy, a couple of things, including computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find the show notes for today, links to any products that we talk about, links to our guest website, anything like that. You can find it there at Computer America. While you're there, also be sure to check out the articles, reviews. We have a couple more going up here soon. We have one for a case from... I can't believe I am actually drawing a blank on this. It's not UAV. It's all right. So there's another company that sent us a product for review, and that should be up here in the next day or two, and we'll let you know when that's up and running. And otherwise, hey, computeramerica.com. That's all you need to know. So with that being said, welcome into the program. Happy that you could join us out there on the radio. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much. And in the meantime, I think we're just going to go ahead and get started with our conversation today. So as I said before, Sandy Berger, she is no stranger to the show. And of course, she has written for a lot of different publications. She gives her honest review 100% of the time, and she is our consumer electronics expert. Yeah, hey, that's why she's here. So, Sandy, welcome back onto Computer America. How you doing? Oh, wait, actually, I did one thing, and all right, try again. Sandy, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ben, and it's really good to be back.
Perfect. Yeah, and definitely heard it that time, and thank you for coming on. So, before we get started, pleasantries, how you been? Everything going well?
Everything's going well. Just got back from CES a couple weeks ago, and struggling to get everything done. But other than that, everything is fine. Hopefully
you didn't catch anything at the convention. I know it's pretty common to catch everyone's weird flus and bugs and whatnot. So hopefully you made it out of there okay.
I left healthy, and I came back healthy. So
perfect.
I was very pleased.
Perfect. Yeah, and of course, speaking of CES, our calendar is actually really filling out with different companies that were at CES, and including, let's see, if you don't mind, I want to tease some of the shows coming up. I know, and actually on Monday we're going to do a pre-recording with a company. They make an automatic cat litter box, and
yep, I saw it.
Yeah, and a purr song, I think is the name of it. We're going to have them on the show and find out why you would want to know that your cat, why you would want to get a text from your cat that they just used the litter box. So we're going to find that out. A lot more from, I think we have a personal flying machine coming on the show, so things like that. CES this year was a lot of fun. I mean, this is just seeing the technology that came out of it. I know that you were there in person, but it was definitely something like there's always that fear every year. It's like, is this the last CES? Is CES still worth going to? Blah blah blah. But I gotta say, this year I haven't really heard too many of those questions. CES has definitely been a good thing.
No, it was chock filled with new products and renovated products and renewed products and new ideas, new sensors. Of course, sensors have been big for the last few years, even bigger this year because Amazon and Google, they were in everything, and it was quite interesting.
They have, and I think last time that we were on, I think we talked a lot about all the different devices that Amazon Alexa is going to be in.
Right.
And I mean, just adding that quote unquote intelligence, adding that adding that to a device really doesn't cost that much, and it's more of a why wouldn't you than a why would you kind of thing, because the cost proposition is just so greatly in favor of that. So, but I don't think we're going to be talking about digital assistants just quite yet. As I said before, our main topic for today is going to be an e-reader, and I think a good place to start would be just to kind of define the Paperwhite and where that comes in e-readers. And you got the new Paperwhite Kindle. Why?
Because I had an old Paperwhite Kindle, and basically the new one had a couple features that really grabbed me. Now, these were not huge improvements. In other words, the two Kindles, the old and the new, side by side, look pretty much the same. Now, I've reviewed the Kindle since the first version that came out. And just in case you're trying to save some money and you might find the first version still out there, it was terrible. What it is the Kindle is a 6-inch reader that is electronic ink, so it's a little different. It's easier on the eyes. But the first version, they didn't have the lighting correct, and that was the point of the whole Paperwhite, is that you could read it in bright sunlight, but you could also read it in a dark room because it had a backlighting. I complained to Amazon and wrote about it, and luckily by the second version they had it much better. So this version has the backlighting, is perfect. Matter of fact, everything is very good on it. They only improved two things, but those two things were quite large things. The first is they made it waterproof, and it's IPX8, which means you can submerge it for 2 meters underwater for about 60 minutes. That's fresh water, not salt water, but most of the time when one of these devices gets thrown in the water, it's fresh water, it's a swimming pool or something like that. So anyway, that's big for people to take these things on vacation. They're big readers and they don't want to carry 3 or 4 books, so they're putting it all on digital on a little device like this. The second thing that they improved is that is now audio enabled. It's got Bluetooth. So you can listen to audiobooks, you can listen to Alexa read books to you, and you can do it all with Bluetooth headphones and this enabled Bluetooth device.
So, and so real quick, before we go any further, I mean, this, Amazon has it posted all over. It's the all new Kindle Paperwhite. When was this, kind of new one released, the next iteration? Because I think this must have been like in November, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. And that's the one thing that Amazon has done with these that is very, very confusing. This one is called the Paperwhite 2018.
Yeah.
Because it came out in November or December, something like that. Okay. But it's also called the 10th generation. Well, there have only been 3 generations of the Paperwhites. However, Amazon counts all the Kindle generations. So from Kindle 1, Kindle 2, Kindle 3, etc. And this is the 10th one. So when you go to do something like buy a case for it, it gets extremely confusing. Because there's very little difference in how to do it. You can look it up in the About Kindle and figure out what Kindle you actually have, but you have to be very careful, when you're buying some accessories.
Yeah, and of course, I never even considered, because the only Kindle I really know is my old roommate. He had a Kindle, and he never had a cover for it, so I didn't even think about covers. But makes perfect sense. They even have them here on the website. A bunch of different colors, things like that. I mean, do you think most people are going to be using just say for you, do you find yourself traveling with this thing a lot? Is this something that you kind of leave around lounging around at home? What's the best use case for a Kindle?
Actually, both. I'm going to be using it for traveling. Got some beach things coming up, and that's why the waterproofing was impressive to me. Of course, there are a lot of people with backyard swimming pools, and that would be impressive to them. But I can also take this thing out in the backyard, and I've got a quite large yard, but my Wi-Fi goes to the end of the yard, and so the Bluetooth also goes that far. Say I take the Kindle, put it on the table on the patio, and then I can roam around with wireless headphones and just listen to my book, or do some gardening, and simple little things like that. I love books. I love reading. There is nothing like a paper book. I have some leather-bound paper books that I wouldn't give up for anything in the world. But for ease of use, the Kindle readers are fantastic.
So, in my mind, there's always just been the Kindle and, to a lesser extent, the Nook, or I should just say Nook by Barnes & Noble. And obviously, Barnes & Noble, well known for their libraries and things like that, or I should say their bookstores. And they're not doing too well. I think I read some business news a little while ago saying that they were closing up a bunch of stores. They were in financial trouble. But the question is, why do you think the Nook really hasn't kind of captured the same space? Is it just because Amazon's so much bigger and Amazon is doing something different than the Nook, or is the Nook not worth considering?
No, it's not about Amazon being bigger or smaller. What it is that the Nook is, as you say, by Barnes & Noble. And even when they first came out, or shortly after they first came out, the bookstores got in some trouble and started closing up. And so therefore, a lot of people did not go with the Nook, which uses a different type of book, a type of book reader than Kindle. And I'm not saying it's not good, because it is good. But the Kindle, Amazon Kindles, just kept coming. New ones come all the time, and the Nook just didn't keep up as far as the books that could be found, et cetera, et cetera. It's still a viable reader, Ben, and there's several other readers. I don't think of their names right now, but there's quite a few other readers on the market that you could have instead of a Kindle. What the Kindle offers you in all its versions is simplicity. You go to the Kindle website or Amazon website, you buy a book, and it's going to work on your Kindle without a problem. You have an e-reader that is not quite so popular, and you have to worry about changing formats and things like that.
Yeah, I do know that I had a different one. It was not really an e-reader, although it was kind of marketed towards that category. It was about a 6 or 7 inch tablet, and really the problem when you kind of branch away from just strictly an e-reader, and this is something that maybe the listeners haven't really thought of, but when you go from strictly an e-reader to kind of like a mini tablet that can do a lot of different things. You run into the problem where it's not going to be great at anything. Like a 7 inch tablet, I wouldn't recommend that for web surfing. I wouldn't recommend that for things like for anything like video games and things like that. And then on top of that, it had like a 6-hour battery life, which sounds like a lot, but when you're just sitting there reading a book and you have those LEDs burning into your eyes, and and then your book dies because it's been in your backpack for 4 hours, it's just not a good experience. So e-readers, I think, serve a special place aside from the tablet market.
They do. Although the tablet market is great, there's Kindle readers for iPads and for Android tablets and for Fire devices. So you can, and your phones. All the phones have Kindle readers right now. So you can read a Kindle book from Amazon on a myriad of different devices. The problem that you brought up is your eyes. You sit and try to read a book on a Fire tablet for 3 or 4 hours, and your eyes will be noticeably more tired. That's what the Kindle has. The Kindle Paperwhite, that is, has this e-ink technology, which is glare-free and doesn't hurt your eyes like a really backlit kind of thing does.
Right. Yeah, and that is, I think, part of the Paperwhite that they, kind of mentioned, where the Paperwhite does have that backlit. I think that was someone's gripe. I'm not sure if it was yours, because I think that because I remember one gripe you did have with an LED backlit, where it was just kind of like they had LEDs positioned underneath the frame, kind of shooting up the back of the thing, and you could clearly see the LED lights.
Right.
But the Paperwhite does have backlit if you ask for it, right? Or if you turn it on, I should say.
It's backlit all the time, and you don't notice it in the bright sunlight. But when you get into a darkened room, you don't need a lamp or a reading light. So it's very, very useful. We should mention there are still other Kindles available. So there's a regular Kindle, and there's a Kindle Oasis. Now, the Paperwhite Kindle right now is on sale at Amazon for $99.
I see that.
The Oasis is $249.
Quite the step up.
And the biggest difference is that the Paperwhite is 6-inch and the Oasis is 7-inch.
That, and obviously there's sale, and normally there would just be $100 price difference instead of $150 price difference, but $100 for, and let me see. So, and after watching the video, we're gonna scroll down to the side by side, because they also sell just the regular Kindle, which I think you said you were kind of warning people against, because it's just not nowhere near as good as $20 more gets you a lot more features with the Paperwhite.
Exactly, and a much better resolution. The resolution on the Paperwhite or the Oasis is such that your eyes won't get tired reading it, and I've used mine for hours without a problem. So I definitely would recommend that. It's actually on sale. I think it's the regular retail price is $129, and they've had certain promotions at the beginning of the year. They had a promotion where you could buy a Kindle Paperwhite plus they would throw in the headphones.
Oh, okay.
So that was wonderful. And they might have some more in the future, but right now the $99 price isn't bad. And if you do have an old Kindle Paperwhite or some other device that you want to trade in, Amazon has a pretty decent trade-in. I've used their trade-in several times, and basically they'll tell you what they think your unit is worth. If it's $25 or $30 or whatever, they'll give you that immediately if you buy a new device from them. So they don't even wait for you to send it back to them. Now, you do have to send it back, or they will eventually charge you. But it's a good deal, especially something like this. If you want to buy a new Paperwhite, you're probably going to get $20 or $30 for your old one. And at $99, that brings the price down considerably. The only problem, again, is with covers. If you use a cover on yours, all this time the Paperwhites have been pretty consistent, which is unusual, because usually there's a fire tablet one year and a new one the next year and a new one the next year. Every year they change the side or the placement of the buttons or something so that you have to buy a new cover. Well, up until now, the Kindle covers pretty much fit on all the versions. This year, they made it, maybe 1/8 of an inch around smaller, so it doesn't fit snugly in the case, in your old case, kind of forcing you to buy a new case. That was extremely aggravating.
Well, yeah, but that's everyone has that problem with phone cases and the like. So
I know. It's an aggravation that I could live without, but
yeah, that's true.
They want to sell cases, so I'm not going to be able to live without that aggravation, I guess.
Now, of course, that leads us into, and by the way, just looking over the again, the differences between the Kindle Oasis and the Paperwhite, you're right. It seems to be really the only thing is the fact that one is 7-inch instead of 6-inch. And personally,
the Oasis does have better lighting. I must say that.
Yeah,
I've seen it. It does make a difference.
Yeah, 12 LEDs plus adaptive light sensor. So I guess it would turn the LEDs on or off or something like that in bright sunlight. So.
Now, one other thing that the Oasis has that some old Kindles had is that it has page-turning buttons. So on the Paperwhite, you're just sliding your hand across it from the left to the right to turn the page.
Didn't the original Kindle have that as well? Sorry to break in there. Yeah.
Some other Kindles had it, and they've taken it out, so
Huh.
it's not on the Paperwhite. A really neat thing, if you're reading on a Fire tablet or even a phone, many phones have this, you can scroll from top to bottom. So you can just run your finger up and scroll to where you want to be in the book. And I really like that. That is not, it's called auto scroll.
Mm.
It's not available on the Kindle Paperwhite. And the reason is that the Kindle Paperwhite uses the e-ink, which is easier on your eyes, but it doesn't allow you to scroll down that easily.
Right.
So that's the only thing. If I had to pick something I didn't like about this device, that would be it. Other than that, it's a great little device.
So what would you say to the people who are adamantly, I need to read my words on dead trees. I need the physical tactileness of a book. I need XYZ. Like, there are those people who are just like, Kindle or e-reader never kind of people. Do you think that the technology has come far enough that it's like, six of one, half dozen of the other, they're both going to serve you about the same?
I think e-reading has its definite advantages of not having to carry books around, etc., etc. But nothing will take away that feeling of a paper book with a binding cover. And I mean, reading a real book is still an experience that I want every child to have.
Right.
I want myself to have it when I want to. If I'm sitting in front of the fireplace for some reason, picking up a paperback or a regular bound book seems to fit the setting better. But if I'm riding a train going someplace, or I'm sitting out on the patio, then to me the digital book has its definite advantages. You can store hundreds of books on these. Matter of fact, they did up the old Paperwhites were, I think, 4 gigs, and the new ones are 8 gigs.
Yeah.
So they upped the storage, which is nice. What people don't know that get the Kindle is a lot of the other advantages that they have. For instance, you can go someplace and get a book and send it to your Kindle, or a PDF. Send it to your Kindle. Your Kindle gets its own email address. Okay? So you go on the Amazon website, you look under devices, you find the address of your Kindle.
Right.
And by the way, you can rename it if you want. So I have renamed mine Sandy's New Kindle at kindle.com.
Okay.
Okay. Now I might go to, there's a variety of places to get free books. Say I go to Gutenberg, which has something like 58 or 59,000 free books, and I want to download a book. Well, if it's in Kindle version, I can just zap it over to my email at Kindle, and it shows up on my Paperwhite.
And not to, Computer America would never promote illegally doing things, but you mentioned that PDFs. So, like, there are places that actually offer, I know that some authors have their own websites where they'll do, like, teaser books, they'll give you the first 100 pages or so. You're saying that if you got one of those PDFs, then you could just, wherever you got a free PDF, you could send it to your Kindle.
That's right. You can send it to your Kindle and read it, and there's nothing illegal about this, especially if you pick up your book at someplace like Project Gutenberg, is Gutenberg.org. That, like I said, has 58,000 free books. Now they're all categorized, and you can go there and choose the category that you're interested in. You might find older books there. You'll find classics, like if you haven't read Moby Dick or Jane Eyre or one of those, you might want to actually look at some of these old books. I've never gone to the Gutenberg site looking for something and not picked up at least one other book. Because there's so many books that I've never read that sound fascinating.
This, I wish this site had been around when I was in high school. And for all I know, it might have been in 2008, 9. It might have been up. But I got to say that a lot of these books for, anyone out there in high school, like Moby Dick or Ulysses or, a lot of these other books or Adventures of, Huckleberry Finn, I remember having to go to Barnes & Noble and buy these books that are 100 years old because I didn't have any other way to get them. So maybe just, Kindle aside, just knowing about Gutenberg.org is, maybe a little tidbit in itself, because a lot of these books are still for reading projects and things like that.
It's fantastic. And if you're interested in something like Walden, maybe you never read that. It's a fascinating thing to read. It's on here. It's a free book. You can download it. Now, there are other formats for ebooks. The one that Kindle uses is actually now called the Kindle Format. It's also called MOBI, M-O-B-I format. And if you find a book that's in a different format, you can transfer it into the correct format at a site called Calibri, Calibre. And that is a site that handles all the different categories of ebooks. It's a free site. And again, you can take one of these books, change the format, and then send it to your Kindle if it's not in the right format.
Very, very cool.
So there's so many things that people don't know about it. There's also something called Goodreads. Have you ever heard of that?
They review books. They're kind of like the Rotten Tomatoes of books, right?
In a way, yes. But it's a place that it's a service that's actually owned by Amazon. But you can go there and read about books. You can review your own books. So on the Kindle, it even say to you, would you like to review this for Goodreads? And if you're an author, you can put your books there. It's a fascinating thing. Also, you can find books that you like and people that also like those books, and then those people recommend other books. So it's a way to find different books that are available out there that you might never have heard of.
Yeah,
and of course, you can follow your own authors, whatever authors you like as well.
That is what I was going to mention, is that, there's a lot of book series that I read that, waiting for the next iteration, looking at you, Game of Thrones, and you can actually set up alerts for when the next book comes out. And, because sometimes the authors, they just kind of drop books, if you're not paying attention, they can slip by for months. So being able to, kind of be alerted when your next book, or even, I'm not sure if Goodreads has the feature, but if you could even, kind of like have it automatically download to your e-reader when it is available, something like that would be pretty cool too.
It would be. Goodreads does not do that, but Amazon does.
Okay.
So you go to Amazon and you want to watch the next version of your favorite book, which is not due out for 2 months. You can buy it. It's called a pre-order. On Amazon, you pre-order it. They don't charge a charge card until it's shipped, but they ship it the first day that it's available. So usually you're getting it even a day or two before you'll see it online, available anywhere.
Very, very nice. And of course, all this, e-readers are, like, I feel like they're this thing that there's a lot of depth to them, as you've been kind of pointing out, and we can talk about kind of move over to books, because other kinds of formats. I know that personally, and actually this is actually an aside, something I wish Amazon, if you're listening to this, great products, thank you for listening, but something I wish that they would come out with, and I think that they could really disrupt a market, which Amazon is super good at. I wish that they came out with a bigger e-reader than the Kindle, something that was, maybe even 10-inch or 12-inch, and they could charge a huge premium for it. I really don't care. But if they made an e-reader for textbooks that had maybe note-taking, that had, maybe exercises built into them, if they had like a textbook kind of thing, because there are plenty of PDFs and things like that that work with e-readers, but it's just not the same as a textbook. So, Sandy, there's actually music playing in the background. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other topics, including audiobooks and how they work with e-readers. And hey, we're going to talk about, well, digital reading. Everyone, stay tuned. More Sandy Berger, CompuKiss.com if you want to check out her work. Or, hey, stay tuned. More Computer America right after this. And everyone, by the way, if you miss any part of today's show, feel free to check it out wherever podcasts are heard. And you can, of course, check out today's show in its entirety right there. So until then, everyone stay tuned. Thank you for listening, IRN and everyone else. Hey, we'll be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And everyone, thank you for continuing on with us. And we are, of course, talking to Sandy Berger and CompuKiss.com if you want to check out her writing. She also writes for a number of other publications. Maybe you've seen her. But for now, hey, she's here on Computer America talking all about the Paperwhite Kindle and more. So, and by the way, before we move any further, you did mention cases and things like that. There's lots of different cases, and just want to show everyone here the one that you kind of picked out. Obviously, you could have them printed with any kind of picture that you want on them, including pugs. So, yeah, personalize your Kindle.
For someone who's not watching the display that you're doing, the cover has a picture of a pug who's wearing glasses and has a headphones on. And it's really cute.
It is. And, yeah. And of course the cover, for those who don't know, also doubles as like a kickstand. So there's some functionality in there as well. So, and these things operate on Wi-Fi and cell, but, you can of course turn that off for airplanes and things like that.
Right.
They have a lot of uses and definitely worth talking about. Now, as we were saying before, lots of places to get your books. You mentioned Gutenberg, and we're going to throw links to that into the show notes. But you also had things like Goodreads, but audiobooks. That's something that we haven't talked about.
Before we even get there, I have to go back to something you said just before the break.
Sure.
You talked about textbooks. Gee,
yes.
I wish I had textbooks way back when I was in school. Well, Amazon has something on their book area. If you just search for textbooks, you can rent textbooks from them, you can buy them, you can sell your old textbooks. They also have an e-textbook, so they have textbooks which are enabled, kind of like you were talking about. You can do notes on it. You can actually take little quizzes. I have not actually done this, but there are online courses and all sorts of things that are fabulous as far as textbooks go. So I think that Amazon Kindles and Amazon itself has gone way beyond what you ever dreamed of for textbooks.
Well, and I remember, I think like the last year that I went to college, and I'm going to finish in a year now, but the last year I went to college, I actually sold my textbooks back to Amazon. They gave me the best price for them, and there's a lot of there's a lot of different places that will sell textbooks, and things like Chegg and whatnot. We've had them on the show, but
even the e-textbooks that are all online or on the Kindle. Are something that's really helpful for students, I understand.
Yeah, no, it's certainly is that way. And unfortunately, textbook companies are getting around that because, and you're right, Amazon has done a lot to disrupt that market already. It's just when it comes to the exercises and the courses, they actually charge you about $130 for the CD key to take the course online that's required to pass the course. So you can go find.
I know. There's a lot to that, and everybody's in it to make some money, including the schools, unfortunately.
Off of the students' backs, but I digress. And I just say that because my brother's out there in Colorado getting his PhD, so he's dealing with that on a yearly basis for 8 years. Sucks to be him. So well,
before we get to audiobooks, I want to tell everybody about another website besides Goodreads and Gutenberg.
Go for it.
It's called BookBub, BookBub. I think it's .com.
BookBub.
And they suggest books to you. They have a daily email. If you want to, you can have them send you the current books that they think are really great. But you can also search through all those books. They have different recommendations and things like that. The other thing that they have is inexpensive books. So they feature a lot of free books. There's a whole section that you can go and get free books. You won't find things like science books here. These are just kind of popular bestsellers, crime fiction, thrillers. They do have historical books, which I like. They have actually a lot of books there that are categorized, and you can search for book or whatever. And you're rarely paying more than $2.99 a book. And these books, BookBub sends you to Kindle to buy the book, or to Barnes and Noble, or to Google. Google sells books as well. So there's all those places that you can go, and again, you get some really good ideas. You also find out what new books are coming out, because they'll have promos on the new books that you might not know about from your favorite authors.
Is this obviously you have to sign up, sign in, that kind of thing, but BookBub doesn't cost anything, and the deals
it's
are
all
just
free, right?
All free. Okay. And yeah, I mean, just kind of looking through the About Us, and I'm half expecting this to say, we are a subsidiary of Amazon, like everyone.
I don't think they are. I know Goodreads is a subsidiary of Amazon, and they don't make beans about that. That's out in the open. So I think if this was a subsidiary, I would have known about it by now.
Yeah, and again, looking through their Abouts, I don't think they are. So very, very cool. And like you said, a lot of different books there, but I don't know. It seems almost too good to be true, to scroll through this and see $10, $15 marked down to 99 cents, $1.99.
Right.
Seems
the
very
thing
cool.
that they do, Ben, the thing that BookBub does is when Amazon or Barnes and Noble or somebody puts these books on sale, they grab them and put them on their website. So there are a lot of books on sale at Amazon for 99 cents, but it's very difficult to find them. So what BookBub BookBub does, HubBub does, is they put them front and center for you, so you realize what's on sale right at the present moment. And these books, I'll tell you the truth, are not good forever. So if I get the email in and I look at the book and I want to buy it, I'll go buy it right away, because tomorrow it might be gone or it might not be on sale anymore.
Right.
But you can get some really good bargains here. Amazon themselves has other bargains too. Amazon Prime has a thing that they've just changed the name of. It used to be called First Reads or something like that, and they've changed the name just a little bit. But if you're an Amazon Prime user, you'll get an email at the beginning of each month talking about 4 books from new authors that you can get for free before they come out. And then you can review it if you like, but you don't have to. You get to keep the books forever. And so every month I get at least 1 or 2 of those books. I think you can pick any one usually. Sometimes you can pick 2. And they're all free.
So this was a kind of a stigma that I think ebooks had at the beginning, not so much anymore, but maybe you can give your opinion on it. I know that there was a stigma that if it was an ebook as opposed to something that was printed on paper, then it was just not worth printing on paper, and it was kind of the same joke that everyone made about Netflix when Netflix first came out. It's like, well, of course it's on Netflix. Nowhere else would carry it.
Right.
There's still good stuff to find on e-readers, correct? Like in the Amazon store.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You can get just about any book in digital format today. And the books that are featured in some place like BookBub, they are basically very good books. Some by some authors that I follow regularly, some by people I've never heard of. And that's the point of the Amazon monthly free book, is to get you into other authors that you've never heard of, or brand new authors who are totally unknown, to see how it sticks. There's also a thing called Amazon Prime Store, I think it is, where you can actually take out 10 books or magazines at a time from Amazon and read it, keep them as long as you want. The only thing you have to do is, if you want to get another one after the 10th one, you have to return one that you have.
Makes sense.
Major magazines, Good Housekeeping, Food Lovers, all sorts of magazines you can get on there, and books as well. So, if you're looking for something to read, you want to get into digital books, there's so much out there. And if you're used to paying $17, $18, $19 for a book at the bookstore, that's where the digital books really come in handy. I mean, I still love to go to the bookstore. I still buy regular books. But boy, when I see what I can get for $1.99 or $2.99 or even $5.99 compared to the physical books, it's absolutely amazing.
There's a lot to be said for that, and then here we go trying to bridge the gap between regular books and audiobooks. The audiobook versions of the books that you normally read are read by the author. So I guess maybe the author would then be able to, kind of read it with the inflection that he meant to, that he meant it or she meant it, and stuff like that. I mean, ebooks are, I think, now just kind of an extension. Like, you have your physical book and an ebook at the same time. Like, it just really doesn't make sense to not have both.
You can have both without a doubt. And you can also have the digital book and an audio book as well. Now, the biggest audio book company is Audible, which is now owned by Amazon. But whether they own it or not, it has always been a wonderful place for books. I should say that a lot of Kindle books that you buy from Amazon can be read by Alexa. So you can just ask her, you just say, read my book, and if it's available, she will read it in her own voice. Now, if you buy it through Amazon, you will be getting the book, again, read by the author or by a professional reader with inflections and stuff like that. So much better than having the Kindle read your book are the Audible books.
So looking at the Audible website, and this is something that we've talked about on the show with you. It's become a favorite, which is of course digital assistants. Other than and let's focus on the Kindle and maybe the Alexa integration at first. And I never actually asked you, does Kindle have have Alexa? And second of all, how much interplay is there other than just the content and reading the books out loud? Like let's say, could you control Alexa through maybe a Kindle?
Yes. Well, not directly through a Kindle, but what you can do is you can have the Kindle. You can have Lexi start reading the book for you.
Mm-hmm.
Say you're at home, you're laying in bed, you're relaxing, and then you get tired and you say, "Okay, stop reading." She'll stop reading the book. Then, if you happen to have the Kindle version of the book too, you can pick it up and keep on reading right where you left off. So if you have a book on your Paperwhite and it happens to be an audiobook, you can also go to your Paperwhite, take that out in the backyard, and have it read to you there. So these books can be, almost portable. You don't have to lug the book around, but if you've got access to a Kindle or an Amazon device that will read to you, you can do it without losing your place, which is, I think, phenomenal.
And then the selection of Audible out there, like, would you recommend any other places to get audiobooks? Or is Audible just kind of like your one-stop shop?
Audible I've been using them since they were privately owned, visited them when they were down in Florida, and they've always done an excellent job on customer service, which I am really happy with. So you can go to Audible and you can buy a book and you can start reading it and get halfway through it and decide you really don't like that book. That's not what you thought it was going to be. They'll take it back for you. They give you, I think, 3 books for free when you sign up. And you have to sign up for like 2 books a month or 1 book a month, that sort of thing. Not as cheap as digital books, but still usually a little less expensive than a physical book.
So here's the question. Obviously, this is going to be kind of a personal preference here. I'm not sure if you read, like, I don't know, true crime or romance or whatever category book that you read, but are there any books that kind of lend themselves better to audiobooks? Like, and we're looking at the different categories here, things like sci-fi, history, self-development, religion and spirituality. Are there any categories that you'd say just kind of lend themselves better to audiobooks?
Well, I think that certain people use audiobooks because they have to. Their eyes have given out on them, or they can't read for as long as they used to, and so they turn to audiobooks. I was just with a man whose sight is very, very, very poor, but he worked at the Fermi Lab. He's a great physics professor.
Yeah.
And, he gets all his books from Audible because he has to. He can't really read a textbook anymore. Now, those books, to me, are harder to follow on audiobooks. If you have to read the audiobook, then you have to read the audiobook. But I would tend to read a nonfiction book, a historical book on Audible, sci-fi, mystery books. Those are great there. But if you're having a book where you might want to go back and look at things, and Audible will give you a PDF if it's required with the book. But those, I think, are better on digital books, or in some cases, like cookbooks.
Yeah.
I would not buy an Audible cookbook. I'm sure they have them, but I wouldn't buy one. And I usually don't buy a digital book cookbook because I want to see the pictures. Of course, now I'm using Google to help me cook, and all I have to do is ask for a recipe for Eggs Benedict or whatever, and Google comes up with a recipe on the screen.
Right.
And Google has added something recently where you can, any recipe that they find, you can put into the Google Cookbook.
A Google
So
I didn't know about that.
it's built into your Google device. So say I find a really great recipe for Eggs Benedict and I want to save it. I just tell Google, save that recipe. Next time I go back and look for it, it's saved on my cookbook.
Very cool.
So I might not be buying as many cookbooks as I used to either.
Well, personally, and this is just a personal gripe, because I actually took my parents to the bookstore about 2 weeks ago, and I have so little interest in buying a physical cookbook, because there are, of course, the classics and, those written by, the really well-known chefs, and those will always be there. But like anything like new, and it's like, hey, the all new low carb diet or whatever, it's like the internet exists and there's like the exact same recipes online, and they're even updated for like the day that you want it. So it's hard to me for like, things like recipes to find old information useful. So I will say with that.
That's very true, and that's very true about computer related books as well. I've written 8 books about computers, and all of them now, because that was at least, I think they finished the last one 6 years ago. They are all slightly outdated now. Now that doesn't mean they're not useful, or you shouldn't go and buy them, but basically you can find more updated information on the internet. So ask me if I'm going to write any more books.
Sandy, are you going to write any more books?
No, at least not computer learning books, which is what I was into, teaching people how to use computers and what to do with them and all that. So I won't be doing that. I might have another book in me somehow, but I'm not sure what that would be.
I'm betting true crime. You're going to become a detective. That feels
I think
right.
that's interesting. I do, and I read a lot of books like that. Read a lot of sci-fi books. I'm a big fan of Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I used to watch Voyager was kind of my generation, but I haven't read that many Star Trek books. A lot of Star Wars books, not a lot of Star Trek, but I digress. There's definitely a lot here, and actually different categories is one thing I wanted to mention. You mentioned that you have grandkids around sometimes, and they like to play with the digital assistants and things like that. Right. Kids books, it's a category here on Audible. I'm sure that there are other books. If you wanted to get one of these for, let's say, a younger kid or student or someone in that age group, is this something that, first of all, is durable enough? Again, talking about the Paperwhite Kindle, and second of all, I guess kind of useful enough for a kid.
Yeah, you can have books now which have the Kindle Paperwhite is just in black and white and gray. But you can also see the books on, say, a Fire tablet or something else that will give you color books, color images. Google actually has some books that and I have not listened to them yet, but they have books for kids where you can just say, Google, read me this book, and they'll read it to you. And they also have books that you can insert your child's name into and that sort of thing. And I don't even think those are books you have to buy. I think those are books that come with Google. Google, we haven't mentioned this, they do have their own set of books that you can read on the Google Home devices. But the Amazon Echoes are much better at reading books. They're much better with the Audible books, much, much easier to handle and to do. So if you're interested in reading books, digital books, audio books, and you haven't yet purchased a voice assistant, I would definitely recommend Amazon Echo over Google for that one reason.
Right, and just real quick, the one that you're mentioning, is it called Google Play Books? Because obviously the Google Play Store, Google Play Books.
Yes, I think it is Google Play Books.
Yeah, it looks to be about that. It has like 1.5 million reviews, and that means it's probably one of the default apps on an Android phone. Yeah, so obviously that's there, and you can get a lot of the functionality as well. I gotta say, I don't think a lot of people know this. Google is actually one of the biggest repositories of books in the world, if not the biggest. They've taken upon themselves to scan really almost every book in existence and keep a copy of it. Now, and that's why you can go into Google search and you can, think of a line from a book and punch in that line into Google and the book will pop up. It's because Google has a digital scan of every single book out there in the world, but they're not allowed to sell them. So, I'm not saying Google's going to have every book available to you. No, they just have it. And that's why I guess Amazon could still be the better place for selection, is that Google can have the book, but they would still have to direct you to somewhere else to buy it.
Right. And I think that although Google does sell books, I'm assuming that it works very well, but I'm heavily into the Amazon Kindle and Amazon Prime stuff. So I don't often turn to my Google device for a book.
I'm wondering because, and sorry, but Google will do this thing where if you have music, and we've talked about music here on the show before, but if you have music, you can back it up into the Google Play Store, and it will actually kind of give you the songs that you already have for free, and it will let you back up, I think, up to like 10,000 songs or something like that. I'm wondering if there's something similar where you can, kind of transfer your books from one to the other. Maybe.
I don't know of anything that there is, because there's different formats, and I know you can change formats, but then you're getting into, okay, I paid for this book here, can I move it over here? Right. So I don't know that they've actually gone through that sort of thing. Right now, just because you mentioned the music thing, yes, Google Play is someplace you can take your stack of CDs and you can enter them into Google Play and digitize them all and have them available at your fingertips. You used to be able to do that at Amazon. Amazon used to be able to, they limited it to something like 500 songs, but you could put a bunch of songs in there. Now they've taken that away, so you can't really put your own music in there. Of course, if you've got Amazon Prime and you've got an Alexa device, you can basically play just about everything there is. But if you're into some really exotic type music or music that's not normally in Amazon, then you could take your CDs and put it into Google Play.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, and that's all this besides. So we have about 2-3 more minutes, and just looking through, everything else. I think a nice little recap. If people are interested in getting getting into e-reading, so there's here, and hey, look, they even have an essential bundle. Wonder, that's probably a case and a charger.
It is.
Although,
and that's one thing, they do not send a charger with the Amazon
really?
Paperwhite.
That's interesting.
Which I think they should, but they don't. So you either have to have one or have to purchase one.
I'm assuming it's like a standard, phone charger or something like that. So maybe people would have one laying around. So that could be why. But there you go. So if people wanted to get into e-reading, your first choice for people would be the all new Kindle Paperwhite.
I do like that very, very much. I think with the waterproof and the storage capability that it's got, plus the ease on your eyes of reading, it's just a good choice. Now, you can also start off on a Fire tablet, an inexpensive Fire tablet, which already has the Amazon reading app built in. So you could order a couple books and try it, or download some of these free books and try it. You could try it on your telephone as well, because Android and iPhones both support Kindles. So.
Okay. So there's that, and obviously you get these things through Amazon, and hey, all the different websites that you kind of mentioned that you can also get books from. We're going to put, let's see, we have Gutenberg.org. We're going to put in the show notes. Goodreads, we are going to put in the show notes. BookBub, B-U-B.
BookBub.
Yep, we're going to put that in the show notes, and same one there. And then we're also going to throw in things like audiobooks, Cookbook, which is an app for your Google Assistant, and we're going to throw in First Reads, which is still a thing. If you go to amazon.com/firstreads, it's still available. So check that out. And I guess one more thing to maybe sway people from the Nook or any other device, there's a lot of functionality mixed in with Amazon Prime. Like if you have that, you're going to be better off for getting a Kindle.
That's right, because they give you, like I said, these free books. They actually have a rental area where you can rent books, but now it's kind of called Prime Books or something like that, and you can go there, and it's like a lending library. You can also lend digital books from your physical library.
I gotcha.
So if you love books, that's something to look into.
All right, and music in the background means that we're just about done. Sandy, if people want to find more, I believe we always tell people, compykiss.com. Any last words?
I'll be updating CompuKiss very shortly, so visit me in the next couple weeks, and if not, I will be talking to you next month on this show.
Looking forward to it, of course. And everyone, there it is. Again, computeramerica.com, the show notes there. Sandy, thank you for coming on. It's a very interesting conversation about e-readers, and thank you so much.
Thank you, and goodbye, everyone.
And have a great day. Bye-bye, Sandy. And everyone else out there, thank you for joining us here on Computer America. You can, of course, find wherever podcasts are heard, search Computer America. We should pop right up. Or, of course, our website. Until tomorrow, which I believe we are going to be having, let's see, real quick, I can do this. Tomorrow on the show, we are scheduled to have a company called Got You, which Sandy mentioned sensors. These guys make the smallest Bluetooth sensor in the world. It's going to be a very interesting show. So everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.